Winning at sports and at sports broadcasting means changing things up.
Just like La Quinta Inns and Suites is changing up their look.
A renovated lobby that's so contemporary it even makes Golic look cool.
Yes, it does. And a totally updated fitness center that even has Wingo feeling like a workout.
I'm ripped. Plus plenty of comfortable spaces to hang out.
Yep, this La Quinta look definitely has a vibe of victory.
So you can just relax, refresh, and get ready for your next big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
It's Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey, sitting next to Mike Golic. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. Phone guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Don't forget you can tweet the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed at Golic and Wingo. You just heard sort of the drama from last night as a Royal Rumble match broke out at a baseball game. Yankees, Red Sox get into a brawl, and I think the biggest takeaway for me has been you don't want to brawl with the Yankees. They've got a lot of size there, Mike. So in my mind, I'm looking at it saying we should run. You see Stanton and Judge walk out on the field. Maybe that's the time where you're just like, no, we're cool. Everything's fine.
Yeah, third inning, Tyler Austin slid into a second base into Brock Holt, who was trying to turn a double play. Austin went in cleats up, but he went low enough. He went below the knee where it was reviewed. The umpire said it was a clean slide, even though it was late and spikes were up a little bit. It didn't seem to meet the, as far as breaking the rule of an illegal slide. So, of course, later in the game, in the seventh inning, Joe Kelly plunked Tyler Austin in the back of the arm, or back, right in the back, and Austin charged him out. That's when the bench clearing really got going a little bit. And then, Judge and Stanton got involved, and that kind of started to chill everybody out when those behemoths started jumping in the middle of the pile.
This hour of Golic and Wingo brought to you by La Quinta Inns and Suites. Book at LQ.com. Win at business. You mentioned Joe Kelly afterwards. They asked if he was ready to fight. That's what he had to say.
I was ready to defend myself. Someone comes to my property and in my backyard, I have two dogs and ready to, come to my property and, I'm getting attacked and I'm going to have to defend myself.
Which reminds me...
Hey, two dogs. He's naming his fist. Who else has done that?
It rings a bell to maybe...
If you want to throw down in fisticuffs, fine. I've got Jack Johnson and Tom O'Leary waiting for you right here.
Jack Johnson and Tom O'Leary.
That is just fantastic. But we'll see if anything comes of it. Basically, after the game, most, especially the manager, said, you move on. But, in baseball, the memories are like, elephant memories. And it keeps living on and on and on and on.
That was very similar to your reaction to me earlier when I said that I don't love jelly on my peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
A couple of things, and one of them is going to lead into our next guest, Adam Schefter, who's sitting here in studio with us. It's National Grilled Cheese Day. Mm-hmm. You and I both love grilled cheese. And I said it would rival when I said if I could only eat one thing the rest of my life, I said it could be a grilled cheese, but I'd probably go peanut butter and jelly, to which you said you do not like peanut butter and jelly.
I don't like jelly. I love peanut butter. But...
So you don't like jelly, which is stunning to me. I got a guy tweeting that says, I'm 44 and have never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in my life. No allergies or anything, simply no interest. To you, Rodney, I say you're banned from the show. I'm just kidding. You're really not. And then probably the other great news is that Adam Schefter, you are a champion. And it has nothing to do with what you come on the show for, is to be our insider in the NFL. Yes.
We have the We Are the Champion music for you, my friend.
Tell us what you are the champion of.
Let me say this to you. This is one of my proudest accomplishments in my almost 9 years at ESPN.
So you're working on a decade at ESPN.
Correct.
You break stories left and right in the NFL, and what you're about to say
is one of my most proud accomplishments.
Okay.
Last night, for the very first time in my ESPN career, I won an ESPN Fantasy Championship. And in this particular case, I won an NBA Fantasy Championship. I beat Scott Clark, a producer here, who is a fantasy maven. What's the word? Maestro?
Maestro.
He's a maestro. That guy is unbelievable. Like, he would pick up somebody, and why is he picking up that guy? 5 threes.
And you took him down. And you said you made the most moves of anybody?
Yeah. The league ran all year long, obviously. And if you look at the moves, I think I made about 140 moves this year, which would be almost one per day. So the semifinals were 2 weeks. The finals were 17 days. That's 31 days. 31 straight days of staying up for every West Coast game, getting up late, watching every free throw, agonizing over every steal and every block shot. And it was torturous. I am so happy that the NBA fantasy playoffs are over so I can go back to bed for an hour at night.
And I can speak to that a little. Like, one of my responsibilities here is hosting SportsCenter on Snapchat, which I do pretty regularly, and a lot of times I'm on that night show. And so it launches at 5 a.m. on Snapchat. We have to
Congrats
wait
on
for
the Emmy nomination.
Thank
by
you
the way,
very much.
For you and all everybody else
that's an accomplishment.
Very cool thing.
But the amazing part about that is that when we do the night show, you have to wait for the last West Coast game to end. I did not realize until I was doing that night in and night out how often we have 10:30 p.m. Eastern starts on a West Coast game that nobody's watching. Like, it's that West Coast game that you're like, oh, I guess that's what we're going to have on tonight. I commend your ability because we're sitting there just waiting for it to end.
You're watching these games like a gambler in over his head. I mean,
it's a little bit like that. Like last night in the absolute last round of the playoffs, the last night I picked up Montrezl Harrell of the Los Angeles Clippers. And he was 1 of 5 from the free throw line. He almost cost me the free throws, which was brutal, but he did go 6 of 12 from the field, so he helped my field goal percentage.
Oh, my God. You are in it. You are hooked in line and sinker. But congratulations.
Thank you.
That's impressive.
Well, no, it's not that impressive. It means absolutely nothing, but to me it means everything.
Oh, you won. It absolutely
means nothing,
something.
but to me it means everything.
It's just like I'm impressed with you guys, you and my son and a bunch of others for the Snapchat Emmy. That it was a pretty cool thing.
It was pretty amazing.
That's an accomplishment. Congratulations.
What happens if you win that? There's like 5 of you, right? That kind of do that. Do you each get one, or do you have to cut up the one? I mean, because my son will try and take more of it than you.
And I can't win. I'll crane. That's what we've learned. I'll do the crane. No, what I've learned from my understanding is that they give the network one, and then the rest of us, I think, have the option to purchase one should we want to, which I would gladly do.
Of course you would.
And I will walk around campus with it everywhere.
Should.
I'll just set it down and just be like, hey, I'm going to leave Emmy here. That's her name, Emmy, right here just to hold the spot.
So how long have you been with the network now, Jason?
Full-time, 3 months.
3 months. So,
how about that?
So in 3 months, and how many Emmy nominations do you now have?
1.
He is 1 more than I have in 9 years.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That shows you the system is broken, my friends. That shows you.
I'm impressed with both of you guys. Let me just say,
I have more NBA fantasy championships than Emmy nominations.
But
you know what? That matters more to me.
You know what? I'm just going to gloat about it anyway. I don't know how this happened. I don't know how we got on me here, Adam.
I think it's a very cool thing. I have
congratulations. Let's get back to grilled cheese and peanut butter and jelly.
By the way,
you like grilled cheese, right?
I love grilled cheese.
And you love peanut butter and jelly?
A very underrated sandwich.
I don't know where you're coming from.
I mean, peanut butter, I like. I don't need the jelly.
You like no jelly.
Like, no, I prefer apple butter if I want something, or like just butter, peanut butter and butter on a sandwich.
But almond butter.
Almond butter, I love. Yeah.
I do like almond butter.
I eat it by the spoonful. Like, I really don't need the bread. The bread's totally overrated. I just take the spoon in.
My daughter likes that too.
Well, see, great minds think alike.
9. Yeah,
but she's brilliant. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna take it all day. So let's pick your brilliant mind, Adam. Adam Schefter joining us.
My endless mind.
Right. Joining us in studio, giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contract. Odell Beckham Jr., you reported yesterday, no longer, it sounds like not going to be traded. Was this in your mind? Was this because they just couldn't get what they want for him?
I think that's a lot of it. I think if they could have gotten the price that they wanted, I think they would have been more open to doing it. I think that they were ripe to deal him if the right offer came along, but it just didn't happen. And you saw the Rams go out and trade for Brandon Cooks, so that situation kind of went by the wayside. Other teams had spoken to them, and the Giants had wanted at least 2 ones. Who knows if they would have gotten that, but I don't think they ever would have settled. Like, I thought eventually they might take a 1 or 3, but it wasn't the point where, like, they felt like they had to move this guy. It was something, okay, let's see what's going on.
Happen?
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah. Let's see what's out there.
Right.
And if it does happen, it does happen, but it's not like we have to move Odell. Like, you see certain teams say, okay, we have to move this guy. They were never like that. But I thought once it got rolling like that, I just thought it had enough momentum that eventually they're going to trade this guy. That's what I thought. But it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. Now, look, something could always change.
Sure.
We'll see what happens here. But I think in his mind, once he got to OTAs, I think that kind of set into motion the next chapter, and both sides are moving ahead with each other in this relationship. But it doesn't change the Giants' predicament, which was that I think that they were always going to have to pay Odell, and I still think they're walking around that rather gingerly.
Well, and so let's go there. I think him showing up to the OTAs was a move in a good direction.
Yes.
See, Khalil Mack did not show up. And again, OTAs doesn't mean a whole lot. We see Aaron Donald held out all the way till and missed week 1 of the season. You look at guys like Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, Zach Martin, Odell Beckham. I got to believe Donald and Zach are going to get paid this year.
Mm-hmm.
Mack and Odell, those are two that. And
see, hold on, but I think there are a few defensive players in a certain category. Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, and Jadeveon Clowney.
Right.
I think we're looking at 3 defensive guys. I think all 3 deals are done by the start of the regular season.
Okay.
I do. Yeah, I do. And I think all 3 deals done by the start of the regular season will be big monster deals.
Oh, I think without question, I completely
like $20
agree.
million a year.
They're going to be massive. So is the one on the outside looking in? Because I think Zach Martin's going to get paid as well.
Well, but here, Zach Martin has all the leverage there.
Yeah.
Because the price of guards has gone up so much that if the Dallas Cowboys want to keep him, I think it's going to be $14, $15 million a year.
Well, Norwell just signed the biggest deal, right?
That's
so
correct.
I got to believe they could use that for the
minimum.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
minimum. If Andrew Norwell got what he got, which is $14 million a year, or $13 million, you have to go back and look at the exact number. Zach Martin is going to be able to make the argument that he deserves more than Andrew Norwell.
I completely agree.
And but Mike, the other thing is, if you're playing guard, okay, what is the risk of a career-ending injury? It's not like you're playing wide receiver and you blow out a knee. Okay, so Zach Martin gets hurt and hurts his shoulder, hurts his knee. You knock on wood. You don't want anything to happen, but would he be able to come back and play at the same level next year? I believe he would.
Yeah.
What are the chances? Very low. So if I'm Zach Martin and the Cowboys don't offer what I want, I'm playing on the franchise tag for 2 years, and I'll get to the market when I'm 27, 28 and get a contract that dwarfs the one that Andrew Norwell got.
Here's where I'm going to jump in on this one. I know that guy really well, and I think he'll end up signing. I think the Norwell deal right in that area, I think he'll be good.
Get it done.
I think he'll sign. And the guy loves just to play ball. He's going to still wear the same clothes he wore at Notre Dame. He's not a flashy guy. He's a great guy. And I do think he'll look at that and appreciate that and take it. That's just my opinion on knowing the guy for all the years he was at Notre Dame. We will certainly find out. He's going to get paid a lot.
Was he in your son's year?
He was my son. Yeah, he was in my son. He played a fifth year. It was a year after my son. But they played together on the
4
line
years.
for a while. Yes, yeah. I mean, just great guy, and obviously one of the best in the league, no doubt about that. So that leaves Odell. I mean, what is going to happen there? Because this guy has already put the tweet out about not playing it down in preseason. So where does that one go?
Look, we saw Sammy Watkins, Mike Evans come in with deals north of $16 million. I know Odell wants a record-setting deal.
Yeah.
But I think those guys have sort of set the market. And sort of like if Norwell gets 13 or 14, whatever the number was,
right.
Zach Martin to me is entitled to more. I think Odell is entitled to more than those guys.
Agreed.
The question is how much more? And that'll be up to those sides to figure out if they can get something done. But I also think the Giants are thinking this way. Okay, you don't want let's just make up this number, $16.8 million, $17 million a year. We'll put the franchise tag on you. And that's where it gets interesting because then Odell has to decide, do I want to do a long-term deal? Do you want to play it out to try to get another $1 million or $2 or $3 a year more?
Right.
And it gets a little tricky. I think that's a little bit complicated there, but we'll see.
You're listening to Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio, ESPN News. I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey, talking to Adam Schefter. I want to go back to Khalil Mack since you guys opened the door to talk about my beloved Raiders. $20 million range, how can they afford, what's the long-term ramifications to having Derek Carr's contract and Khalil Mack's contract for Oakland?
Well, listen, teams plan for this, Jason, and it's not like the Khalil Mack contract creeped up on the Raiders. They know that it's coming, and they know they have to pay him at some point in time. So, again, whether the number is $16 million, $18 million, $20 million, that's up to them. But they will figure out a way, I believe, to get it done. But Khalil Mack is going to ask for an awful lot of money, and he's going to get a lot. The question is how much. They plan for this. I don't think it's anything surprising. They'll find a way to fit it in. That's what teams do. Every team has got these situations. You have Dallas meeting with Des Bryant this week, right? And they want to get Zach Martin done and DeMarcus Lawrence done. So who do you want to pay? Look at the Rams. They're under $1 million under the cap right now, and they want to re-sign Brandon Cooks and Aaron Donald, and Todd Gurley's contract's coming up. So there's a lot of people to pay in L.A., and Marcus Peters, not to mention. So every team is wrestling with these sort of cap issues, again, which is why it's so important. If you get hit on a rookie quarterback like Jared Goff, who's on that first deal without getting the quarterback money, then you could spend some of that money on these other players.
What do you make of the Richie Incognito retirement? Again, through Twitter and tweeting to the Bills and to the NFLPA that I'm done, and talking about he went to his doctor. For those that don't know, it was at a doctor, and the doctor said, the stress is killing you, your organs, the stress, or you're shutting down and this and that. So he said he's done. Do we think this is true? Do we think he is done, or do we have any? I mean, this is a guy's had some issues.
He sounded pretty resolute. He sounded pretty firm and convinced in his thinking. I don't have any reason to doubt him. If he says he's done, he's done. I think, you played it in the line, right? I think people don't understand the full amount of physical toll it takes on players. I always remember when John Elway was retiring, and he talked about how he wanted to keep playing, but physically, it just became too tough. That when he first got into the league, he'd wake up, he'd be sore on Monday, and then by Tuesday he was fine. And then a few years later, he was sore till Wednesday, and a few years later he was sore to Friday, and a few years later he was sore to the following Sunday. And it got to the point where eventually, when you're old enough and you're being hit enough, you play the season in perpetual pain, in perpetual soreness. And I think for somebody who's playing one of the line positions, who's banging your body as much as you are in games and practice, although not as much in practice anymore, it just, after a while, it just wears people out. It's enough.
I have always seen that about offensive linemen, and seen it from the other side as well. My son was an offensive lineman. Jake, my son, who was in Zach's grade at Notre Dame, was a tight end. They're basically right by the offensive lineman, and they're always seeing the offensive linemen are the most neurotic crew there is out on the field. And I think while it's a stressful game, it can be, that is without question the most stressful unit out there.
I want to get one more quick offensive lineman question in with you, Adam. Taylor Lewan is about to be paid, in theory, at
Another
some
guy.
point.
There's a lot of guys.
Yeah, there really is.
But so is Marcus Mariota. Any indication? I mean, there's a whole regime change for the Titans. Is there any indication on how they're moving forward or what they're looking forward towards?
Well, again, we see the offensive line market moving the way that it has. And we see the top offensive linemen getting paid more than they ever have, which is why, again, if you're Zach Martin, I know you say he's a regular guy and he'll be good with whatever money there is.
But it doesn't mean you don't like money and listen to your agent, too, as well.
But the business decision is the business decision.
Right.
And the money at those positions where there's a shortage of players is only going up. And so if you're Taylor Lewan or Zach Martin, whoever it may be on the offensive line, to me, you ride it out and you wait until there's a fair offer, because the money at those spots is only going up.
With that being said, aren't we getting to the point for an NFL team where you're better off trying to renegotiate as soon as possible?
Teams have tried to do that. I think, Joe Banner and Howie Roseman, they were at the forefront of this. The Philadelphia Eagles back in the mid-2000s, like 2004, 5, 6, they were signing these players, young players, to contracts way out. And what happened was, they were getting ahead of themselves. They had identified their talents on their team and signed them to deals that were so long and so heavily favored for the team that the player would get 2-3 years in, and he was massively underpaid. Teams have tried to do that for a while. It's nothing new. I think the key is recognizing your players and then moving ahead. Look, the Washington Redskins, as an example, okay? When they decided to hand over the starting job to Kirk Cousins, at that point in time, they were getting ready to sign him to a 4-year, $32 million deal that ultimately, at the last moment, they decided to pull off the table. This is in 2015, okay? 4 years, 32. They identified him as the starter. They were going to pay him before he started. Kirk Cousins would have been thrilled to take 4 years and $32 million, which, by the way, is like the salary for 1 year now.
Yeah.
But it's an example of a team recognizing whether a guy can play and taking the progressive step that seems like it's costly at the time of signing him. What you're doing as a team is you're identifying that guy, trying to sign him in advance and betting on it. You're taking a little bit of a risk, but if you're right, and the chances are you should be, then that should pay off handsomely for you for a long time. By the way, the Redskins didn't follow through on the deal. They decided not to offer the deal. Rest is history.
How about, the rest is history. We're talking to Adam Schefter. Again, his podcast, new episodes weekly, listen on the ESPN app and Apple Podcasts. So take us inside your world a little bit as this insider. How, and getting information like you have on players that are in the league. Now take us to a draft where the key is misinformation and how you can really decipher what you're hearing as true or not, because we all know that there's so much of that misinformation going on.
Yeah, well, I don't really view it that way so much as I view it as teams just not being completely forthcoming. Plus, I personally don't like to call a team and say, okay, Cleveland Browns, which of these quarterbacks do you like? I'm not even going to ask that because they're not going to tell me.
Right.
So why even talk about that? It doesn't make any sense. I don't think teams are dishonest. I just don't think they're overly forthcoming. That's the bigger issue. Rarely have I found teams just lying to you, like, oh, boy, we love this guy, and they have no plans of taking that. I don't think that's...
You don't think they want to get out information that maybe they want others to have?
again, we've worked together 9 years.
Yeah.
We worked together more than 3 months.
Yeah, right.
But I don't think you guys are going to come in and lie to me if you know someone long enough. And so, they want to disguise what they're doing as best they can, but they do it in their own way. Sometimes teams will bring in a player to their building when they have no intention of drafting that guy, but they do it to throw off other teams, or they go to a private workout or bring in a guy that they have no intention of drafting because they want other teams to think they do. So they do it themselves, trying to send smoke screens, but I don't think they're lying to people blatantly, like when you're having conversations like, yeah, we like this guy, and they really don't. That's my sense.
You guys can follow him on Twitter at Adam Schefter. Send him a congratulations is today.
Yes.
He is a champion
awesome.
of fantasy basketball.
Means nothing.
I'm jealous.
But it feels so good.
I'm jealous. You should get a prize. There should be a prize somewhere. Like somebody should buy you a grilled cheese on National Grilled Cheese Sandwich Day.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
I'm a one-trick pony, literally. I show up at kids' parties and act cute. That's pretty much it. So excuse me for being bitter when Geico says not only could we save you money on car insurance, but we do more. Like give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or even via our award-winning mobile app. Well, ooh la la, aren't they multi-talented? Hey, I said organic carrots.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Markel on the run, down the lane, around one man, puts it up and goes. Markel falls with an impressive athletic drive.
They have to take great pride, take great satisfaction, and the accomplishment.
Ben out top with it, keeps it, drives it, and slams it. Ben Simmons is hot, and I don't blame him.
I want them to enjoy it, take a deep breath, and then reload.
It's Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. I'm Jason Fitz, in for Trey, sitting next to Mike Golic. And everybody's hot on the 76ers. So
everybody's hot on Philly. I mean, ever since the Eagles won the Super Bowl, man, Philly's been on fire.
That's a fair point. I mean, the sports gods have obviously convened and said, you know what, it is the year for Philadelphia. I think I've been one of the loudest champions of the 76ers, so I need this to go well. So we're going to go to the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line where 76ers head coach Brett Brown joins us. Coach, we appreciate a little of your time this morning. I keep talking to NBA experts, and they keep saying playoff experience is everything, and you guys don't have it. How do you prep for something that you don't have?
I mean, sometimes, not knowing some things might not hurt you as much as others might think. I think the general comment, it is fair. If you had your druthers, you would want playoff experience. But sometimes, not knowing what you don't know isn't a bad thing. We play fast. We got a bunch of young players that are coming together, and maybe that's going to equal more of a free-minded type spirit and a free-flowing style, I hope.
Coach, let's talk about your journey here. Your fifth year with the team. You go way back when you first started there. 19 wins, 18 wins, 10 wins, 28 wins, now 52. And we all understand the process. That term gets used so much. And from a professional standpoint, understood what's going on. But when all this was going on and there wasn't a lot of winning, how about you personally? There's you, the head coach, and then there's, Brett Brown just, having a personal and a regular life. How difficult, if it was that for you?
I mean, the pain of losing Mike is certainly real. I think at this stage of my own career, I felt confident that I knew two things. First, what I thought you needed to do to truly set up a culture and a program, and I got ownership that was patient with me and us, and what they said they've in the rearview mirror have delivered on. And I think that when you sort of just tried to grow the program and continue to develop the people, I think the injuries, hurt us probably the most and set us back the most. But by and large, we just sort of stayed true to what we thought you needed to do to grow a program. And I think in the light of day, I hope we've chosen the right things.
We're talking to Brett Brown, 76ers head coach on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You guys are on a hot streak right now. Obviously, when Joel Embiid went down, everybody said you guys were done. What stood out to you in the 16-game win streak is the most surprising thing?
Well, we played two different styles. You played away with Joel, and then all of a sudden you don't have Joel, and we went into a real sort of speedball game, a three-point game. The connection of the dots is we played good defense, different type of defense without Joel behind the team, but we were always, amongst the top 3 or 4 defensive teams in the NBA with or without Joel. And we continue to share the ball. We led the NBA in passes. We regularly had like 30-plus assist games. And I think if you can share the ball and play defense, those are two pretty important things to carry on. And I hope that we do that in the playoffs.
Coach, you just said you play two different styles with and without Embiid. Does that make it difficult if he comes back in the middle of a series?
It's a challenge, but it's a good challenge. All day, every day, I would want that. I think that Joel is the defensive player of the year. I think when you look at the numbers, just the raw numbers of what he has done defensively and where he sort of like pivots us as a team defensively, that I will take that back all day, every day. And what you do realize at times in the playoffs, it does become a half-court game. And right now, like our strength is our speed. We shoot threes, we get up and down, but it does slow down. And I learned that my 12 years with Pop and the Spurs, like Tim Duncan at times needed the ball. And Joel provides that, and I really can't wait to re-welcome him back into our team.
Talking to Brett Brown, head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. They get ready for the playoffs. They'll be hosting Miami Saturday, 8 Eastern on ESPN. So you're 57 years old. The first time I think it was basketball ops when you got into the NBA with the San Antonio Spurs back in 98. Joel Embiid was born in 1994. Ben Simmons was born in 1996. How, in today's pro sports, a coach that's been around a while, deal with the youth of today, the social media of today, and just the kind of the attitude of the young athlete today?
It's really the part of this job, Mike, that I'm most attracted to. When I accepted the job 5 years ago, we kind of blew it up. You realize you actually had a chance to put your own thumbprint on your version of what is culture. And I had been a head coach for 17 years prior to coming with Pop, in the Spurs, and I'm the son of a coach. And so you really sort of tripped on this opportunity at a, I think, ripe time for my own stage of my career. And these young guys are a huge part of that, and teaching them and sharing stories and educating them. And to your point on social media, you learn quickly. Players of all ages, no matter what, want to be coached. They want to be told the truth. There has to be some level of law and order, and trying to grow these guys. And to date, I hope we have done that.
Coach, you guys have had a lot of contribution from J.J. Redick. What's he been able to do this, and how's he been able to sort of stand out for you this year?
Just as good an example as I have coached with his routine. You see the great players that I have been around all have sort of a rhythm to their day. They really adhere to a routine. They're maniacal in sort of their day-to-day preparation and their routine. And for our young guys to see JJ's preparation, his attention to detail with his fitness, the ability to, like the NBA is all about, you got to back it up. And so recovery and your health and all that matters. And there's a rhythm to your skill package. Where do you get your shots? And he's done all of that. Plus he's been an amazing voice behind the scenes in a locker room to equal just an incredible addition really for us. And the timing of JJ coming into this team, I hope has been good for both parties.
Brett Brown joining us, 76ers head coach on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Almost as consistent as the process has been is the fact that your rookies miss a lot of their first year, if not the entire first year, or 2 years like Embiid did, and then Simmons misses his first year, and Markelle Fultz missed a lot of this year. And now, and he gets the youngest triple-double in the history of the NBA at just under 20 years old. Talk about his progression from playing early, missing all that time with the shoulder injury, and now coming back. For
me, the Markelle Fultz story is is as sort of inspirational a story as I have been a part of. There's a human side of all of this that I'm just so proud of Markel. You know, you got speculation that's rampant all throughout the year. He's the first player chosen. Like you just said, he's not old. He's the youngest player to have achieved that number that you just said. And so to help him navigate the NBA and especially the city of Philadelphia, which is a brutal sort of sports city, and, you know, the expectations are high, and for him to end the regular season with a triple-double, I mean, it's a little bit like your point earlier, like how do you help raise these 19, 20-year-olds? You know, that's a hell of a story that we've just experienced, and it's growing. You know, I look forward to seeing him play in the playoffs.
Coach, I can't let you go without at least letting you chime in on the petty wars in the NBA. You want to chime in on the Rookie of the Year thing? Is Ben Simmons the Rookie of the Year?
I mean, I've said it publicly here in Philadelphia. I don't know what national attention it has received. I feel like, with due respect to, you know, Donovan Mitchell and Jason, like there's a lot of, like, you know, candidates out there. I feel like he is the stone cold Rookie of the Year. In my eyes, the numbers and the success that we have had here in Philadelphia is incredible for somebody that used to be a college foreman that is now an NBA point guard. I feel strongly that he is the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, certainly. I believe that there's no doubt it's going to be between him and Mitchell for that award. And lastly, and maybe most important, given that it's National Grilled Cheese Day, and then we also brought up peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, if you had a choice, grilled cheese sandwich or peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
You know what, Mike? It's not even close. One of my great thrills is if I can get like a great peanut butter and jelly sandwich with good fresh bread and potato chips and then the sports page, I can sit there for about 40 minutes and just enjoy myself.
Now, Coach,
That's
when I lived
awesome.
in Maine as a little kid, it was peanut butter and fluff. Like, do you do peanut butter and jelly, not peanut butter and fluff?
Yeah, no, I got out of the fluff stuff. I am exclusively if you give me fresh bread and, like, you know, peanut butter and jelly, I still think it's one of the elite sandwiches that we have.
Could not agree more.
Well, I'm gonna have one before the game.
Yes.
Brett Brown, 76ers head coach on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We appreciate your time, Coach. Best of luck in the playoffs.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Mike and Jason, thank you.
Great stuff.
I mean, he was there for the process. I mean, you talk about the process, and Sam Hankey's, you know, sitting around going, you know, why aren't I anywhere? You know, it's my process, you know, of what I'm doing. But Brett Brown has been there again. He's been this his fifth year. Go back to his first year: 19 wins, 18 wins, 10 wins, 28 wins, and now 52 wins. And people think they have that outside shot to be the team out of the East.
I think what you just said is the most inspiring and cool story about the 76ers, because human nature is human nature. And you can't tell me when you're sitting in the middle of being a 75 and 253 coach that you're not sitting there every day saying, well, this might be the year where they don't trust the process. So for the fact that he got to ride that whole process out and now takes a hot 76ers team in, maybe I'm just blinded by my love of the story, Mike.
When you fly through Heathrow, they have this lounge where if you've been on an overnight flight and you feel like garbage, you can go in and take a hot shower.
Yeah. Just for the fact that there's a shower at an airport says, I just want to take a shower because I can shower.
Right? You do it just to do it. Wait, Devin's saying he wouldn't take the shower?
They better be providing sandals for your feet.
Do you think we're slumming it? Do you live in like a plastic bubble?
I'm Bubble Boy.
We are going to get to Bubble Boy in just a second on him paying off his bet last night and this morning. SportsCenter is brought to you by Post-it. If you work on a hot or rainy job site, you know how tough it can be to communicate clearly. But new Post-it Extreme Notes are water-resistant and extra sticky. So now you can get your message said and get the job done in any weather condition. New Post-it Extreme Notes. Buy them today.
It's Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio. I'm Jason Fitz, in for Trey. Mike Golic. And by the way, Bubble Boy was kind of spot on that one. Like the Heathrow showers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, I spent a lot of time, you know, when we were touring, there are times that you pull into a truck stop and like nobody sits down and says, you know what I really want? A truck stop shower. Tell me how an airport shower is any different.
Oh, I've done them. Fantastic. They're fantastic.
Oh, I'm with Bubble Boy on this one, 100%. No, you can wait. I mean, how many more hours do you have to fly? Like, you don't have another day to fly. You just got another, like,
a lot of hours when I was flying to Africa and South Africa, so I could use a nice shower.
Oh, my God. So, at this point, you know who doesn't have time to shower? Woj. He's too busy. We've got one.
Woj bomb.
I love that.
I do too.
Adrian Wojnarowski, just proven I actually know how to say the last name, has tweeted out another breaking piece of news this morning as NBA coaches already start to get canned. Orlando has dismissed coach Frank Vogel, something that I think the rumor mill has been seeing coming for the last couple of weeks, Mike, but something that a lot of people around the Orlando franchise, I don't know that necessarily agree with the move. They don't have a lot of players. Like, who's there?
They don't. He's been there, 2 years?
Yeah.
I mean, the leash is ridiculous anymore. 2 years. Hey, 2 years, you have no talent. Good luck. Have a ball. You know, all I got to say with these coaches, sign a nice 4 or 5 year deal so you got that nice buffer of that. I don't know how many years he signed in his deal, but get that nice buffer of getting checks sent to your house when you're put in a no-win situation. Again, here's your team. You got no players. Have a ball. You got 2 years. He won 29 games and 25 games, and he's out. So they'll be looking for a new coach. Woj already reported, happened, fourth?
Woj bomb.
I'm with you.
Woj bomb.
That Jeff Hornacek, not the coach with the Knicks anymore, fired there. Talking about the Mark Jacksons of the world, Jeff Van Gundy, Dave Fizdale, David Blatt, Jerry Stackhouse name come up as well. So going to be obviously plenty of coaching candidates, but now we have 2 jobs available. We know Milwaukee is going to be open as well once their season ends. So certainly be a few jobs out there, but Frank Vogel the latest.
You know, you make an interesting point about the short leash, and I always remind people, whatever your favorite team is, their coaching contracts, unlike many player contracts, the coaching contracts are guaranteed.
Yes,
they get
are.
paid either way.
Yes,
so
they do.
There is always, in my mind, when a coach gets fired, there has to be accountability to who hired that coach in the first place. How did you make that bad hire and just throw away that cash? Because if we're 2 years in and you're already admitting you made a mistake, then you've got a problem with your own judgment.
Couldn't agree more. He has 2 years and $11 million left. Good job out of you, Vogel. It's a great job. I'm so happy for you, man. 2 years, no talent, and you get canned. Enjoy those checks, man, as they keep coming to you. I couldn't agree more.
I will. I'll leave
Frank
this.
Vogel, I think, is a good coach.
I'll leave this show for 2 years, like $8 million, if you want. Like,
That'd be nice, huh?
That's fair. I just won't do it again. We got a bunch more NBA coming up in just a few minutes. As Carlos Boozer's going to join us, but we had some awkward moments this morning with Bubble Boy that I'm not sure I'll ever forget, Mike.
Again, Devin lost the bet here we had amongst our staff. You scored one of the lowest I've ever seen in a long time. It was pathetic.
Probably in the whole country.
It was horrific. So last night he had to sleep in my office. I said he couldn't sleep on the couch. He did sleep on the couch. I'm glad you were honest about it, so I'm not going to hold anything against you there. And then he had to put the product every morning. Hope, our makeup artist, comes in and does makeup for us for TV and puts product in my hair. And this morning Devin had to put product in my hair. So I thought you started out a little timid. I thought you finished up strong. How was the experience for you putting gel, paste, and hairspray in my hair?
It was, at first, it was a little intimidating, but as soon as I got in there, I loved it, honestly.
Intimidating because of my greatness or what?
Well, I said it earlier this morning. There's a lot of hype around your hair.
Yeah.
It lived up to it.
Lived up to the hype.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, it did look a little like you were a timid person trying to pet, like, your aunt's cat and you're afraid you're going to hurt it. Like, that's what it felt like watching it. It wasn't your shining moment.
Yeah, I wasn't a natural at it, but I think,
I thought you finished strong. You know what I liked at the end? You were proud of your work because you said, wait, I need a little more over here. So you took pride in what you were doing, and you still haven't gotten the sticky whatever, the paste or whatever.
It's still on there.
Yeah.
If you need to fill in, I think I've earned it. Do you think so?
Hope's going to be off next week, so you may have to step in.
All right.
You've earned it. This is a job you want now. Wow. And why did you not throw a party in his office? I mean, he said you had to sleep there. He didn't say you couldn't bring 10 friends. Coming up, who poses the biggest threat to another finals repeat? Carlos Boozer joins us next on Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
No parties.
I don't know how else to say this, so I'll just say it.
What is it, Linda?
I think we should see other people.
Are you breaking up with me? On a roller coaster?
Well, we do have a lot of fun. Maybe we should stay together.
An emotional roller coaster? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I just need a little me time.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Winning at sports and at sports broadcasting means changing things up.
Just like La Quinta Inns and Suites is changing up their look.
A renovated lobby that's so contemporary it even makes Golic look cool.
Yes, it does. And a totally updated fitness center that even has Wingo feeling like a workout.
I'm ripped. Plus plenty of comfortable spaces to hang out.
Yep, this La Quinta look definitely has a vibe of victory.
So you can just relax, refresh, and get ready for your next big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
Austin, after that slide, you had to watch his next at bat.
And there it is. And Austin does not like it. Now he's going to head toward the mound. Now this is a brawl.
I threw a pitch inside and hit him, and it's one of those that get away.
Austin right in the middle of it. His mouth is cut as well.
I thought there was absolutely nothing wrong with that slide, and I had no thought that they were going to throw at me.
Aaron Judge is moving the pile. He's almost stuffing the pile back into the Red Sox dugout.
It's Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. Phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You can tweet the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed at Golic and Wingo. I'm Jason Fitz, in for Trey, sitting next to Mike Golic. You just heard about it, the Royal Rumble, as I keep calling it, little, maybe because I just watched the documentary on HBO, but a little
I have to see that. I still have to see that. I'm sure it was fantastic.
So
of Andre the Giant.
Yeah,
right?
It felt a little like that 80s era of Andre the Giant and Big John Studd hanging out.
Oh, Big John Studd. Wow.
I was a wrestling fan as a kid. I was a wrestling fan. Yeah. It's maybe you and me, we go to like a WWE event sometime.
Together?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's not happening.
Okay. Well, I thought we had it. I thought, I'll bring a peanut butter and jelly
we were
sandwich.
at the movie last night, but we were there with my wife and Mike, my son there. I mean,
they were hanger-ons, right? Like it was me and you really hanging out.
Kind of the hanger-on.
Well, that's
probably another thing.
That's probably a fair point. Is there a particular jelly for your peanut butter and jelly?
Grape jelly. Only grape jelly.
Okay.
I'm a grape jelly guy.
Very specific.
I really am. Yeah.
Very specific. Okay. Yeah. But no strawberry.
Not really. Don't really like it. I could eat peanut butter and jelly every day, though the grilled cheese, and it is National Grilled Cheese Day, comes in a close second. That's something I could have every day. But a lot of times that's got to be hot. You want that, the cheesy, the melting PB&J. You can eat anytime, anywhere.
Brett did inform us. Was it Brett that informed us earlier about the grill definition? The definition of grilling.
Somebody said I've never grilled one on the grill. It doesn't really mean that.
It turns out that the definition basically says cooking on a frying pan counts as grilling.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly right.
That's summarizing. You're welcome, America.
Yeah,
so we've now told everybody. So now let's get you caught up with what's trending. You heard that in the open. Benches cleared twice in the Rankies. That's a new word. In the Red Sox, Yankees, 2 players, 1 coach ejected. It began when Red Sox reliever Joe Kelly threw inside toward Yankees designated hitter Tyler Austin on 1 pitch, and 2 pitches later drilled him with a 97-mile-per-hour fastball aimed at his back.
Started back in the 3rd inning when Tyler Austin did a late kind of high slide into Brock Holt to break up a double play. It was reviewed by the umps. They did not think Austin's slide was illegal. He did go cleats up, but he caught Holt below the knee, and by definition, it said if you go spikes up and catch him above the knee. He did not. There were bench clearing then, but nothing really happened until what you just brought up in the 7th inning when Kelly popped Austin. Austin charged the mound. Everybody went out there, got a little physical. Then Judge and Stanton got in the middle of it, and everybody went, okay, I think we're done now. 6'7", 282, and 6'6", 250 getting involved. We'll be done.
It's amazing how quickly that's going to lead to, you just don't want to fight that team. And don't hit me with the spirit of the rule thing with the cleats up. Like, there's a rule for a reason, all right? I'm not a big fan of, the spirit of the rule is intended to protect. No, it says above the knee. It wasn't above the knee.
Above the knee?
It was barely calfish. It was really more like ankleish. So,
calfish? It was ankle calfish?
Yeah.
Area of?
Ankleish.
There you go.
All right, so...
We'll give you some sound of that in a little bit. It gets pretty good, and we get to bring in some anchorman, so we're happy about that.
That's spectacular. Yeah. Also, the Vegas Golden Knights shut out L.A. for their first playoff victory. They stunned the world in their inaugural season, making the playoffs, also winning the Pacific Division. So for an expansion team, they've already sort of reset whatever the new normal is, and it includes now a 1-0 lead after a 1-0 game.
I can't continue or say enough how impressive it is what they've done all year long. 4th in attendance as well. The coverage there of the fans in Vegas. Marc-Andre Fleury was the goalie in this one. It's his 63rd postseason win, 11th postseason shutout. Both accomplishments are the most among active goaltenders. So, well, it's an expansion team, but they did get a hell of a goalie. There's no doubt about that, and they have a hell of a team. So, good way to start off there. Quickly in the other games, Penguin beat the Flyers 7-0, just smoked them. Sidney Crosby had a hat trick, including an incredible backhander out of the air. It was unreal. And the Winnipeg Jets beat the Wild 3-2. It was their first postseason win for the Jets, who had been 0-8 previous to that.
Woo, woo. I want to keep giving Vegas a little credit and remind everybody that while it's an expansion team, they have a ton of playoff experience.
Yes,
We've been talking about that all day for
right.
the NBA. They got a lot of guys on that team that have a ton of playoff experience. And lastly, one of the single greatest movies of all time turns 25. This is what I'm going to say.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Exactly. The Sandlot turns 25. The story about childhood friends coming together to play baseball and go on an adventure during summer. It's 25.
Let me tell you, if you haven't seen The Sandlot, just watch it. It's one of the just fun, great movies that you're going to see. Just good, lighthearted fun. You're going to laugh. It's just a cool story. I mean, I love it. And they're kind of making the rounds now because of this 25-year anniversary. One of the morning shows, they got them out. They were out on a baseball diamond playing all their positions and everything as well. It was very cool, but very cool to see all those guys, Smalls back in, Ham and Squints and and still Squints making out with Wendy Peppercorn is one of the great scenes of all time when he fakes drowning in the pool and she's giving him mouth to mouth. Just absolutely awesome. It's just a great movie. 25 years certainly makes me feel old.
Well, it's okay because of this.
Remember, kid, there's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Follow your heart, kid. You never go wrong.
Heroes get
just
remembered.
Awesome.
Legends never die.
Just awesome.
So we'll go to one of the legends. We'll just go that way. Carlos Boozer, former NBA player, joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app. Join. Start saving 5 cents a gallon today. Boozer, where are you on Sandlot? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, where does Sandlot fit for you?
Good morning, guys. Great movie. One of my all-time favorites growing up. I mean, to the point where I had to show it to my own kids, and it's one of their favorites now. My kids are only 11 and 10, so great movie. I mean, for a little while, we're all afraid of that dog for a little while.
Oh, what a perfect age for your kids to watch that movie. I mean, it just fits great. That is awesome.
And they're all into baseball as well, so they love the movie. They watch it over and over again. They also, I think they made a Sandlot 2. I just haven't found the DVD for it.
Yeah, they did, and really don't have to waste your time on it. No. Yeah. Unfortunately, I did. Don't worry about it. Just keep the one in your mind and your memory. That's
the original, right?
That's exactly right.
At least wait until your kids are way older to show them so they can separate the two films. That's the important piece of it. We're talking to Carlos Boozer, former NBA player. So I'm all in on trying to find some magical, mystical, wonderful hype for the 76ers. So let me ask you, because great minds seem to differ on this, how much does playoff experience really matter in your mind for a team like the 76ers going in?
It matters dramatically when you're trying to win a championship. I think for them, they're obviously one of the hot teams. They've proven to be very good. I think they won 52 games this year or 50 games this year, which is incredible for them. First time being done since AI was there back in 2000, 2001, so that's very impressive. They have a favorable matchup, I think, against the Miami Heat in the first round. I think, obviously, Philadelphia would be the favorite. I don't think Embiid, I think if he comes back in game one, great. But if they have him at some point in that series, I think he dominates that series. I think there's no dynamic player like Ben Simmons in that series. He's the only one that can do what he does in that series. So I think they have a very favorable matchup against the Miami Heat. But I'm gonna tell you, when you're talking about the process, they've done very well in the draft. They got a good coaching staff in place. They put some good veterans around them, great shooters around those two studs, and building going forward. I think the team that they really got to look out for, obviously, is the Cavs, Toronto, and maybe Boston. So, but other than that, I think Philadelphia is going to be a tough out.
I agree with that, and a lot of people are looking toward the future for them, but so many people saw that game against the Cavaliers last week, an excellent game that Philadelphia won without Joel Embiid, and all of a sudden people are going, wait a minute, maybe it could be this year. Could they make noise all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals this year, do you think?
I mean, listen, this is professional sports, guys, and you can never count a team out. You know, these are the pros. They're all very good. You know, they're there for a reason. But they're going to have to play against LeBron James, and he's just one of those guys that comes around once in a lifetime, if at all, and he figures out ways to win. You know, he's one of those guys that will figure out a way to double Joel Embiid and make all those other guys take pressure shots, make Covington make pressure shots, make J.J. Redick make pressure shots, you know, make Ben Simmons take a jump shot, you know, because he's incredible getting to the hoop and he finds ways to get there. So I just feel like in that series, especially against a LeBron James-led team, they'll figure out ways to beat them.
So Carlos Boozer joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Who in the East matches up well enough to stop LeBron?
I mean, I think Philly matches up very well. I think that the two toughest teams, I think Toronto. I'm going to say this before I get to that. I think that Toronto Wizards series could be very interesting. I'm a big John Wall fan, even though I do think Lowry's very good. I'm a big John Wall fan. I think DeRozan is amazing. I think Bill's going to grow up in front of our eyes. I think he did a lot this season playing without John Wall. But that 1-8 matchup could be very interesting. I got LeBron. I got the Cavs coming out of the East. You know, looking at this series, looking at what they have in front of them, the Indiana Pacers. Even though the Indiana did very well against them in the regular season, the postseason is very different, and I see them getting by that one pretty good. I got them with an easy track to the conference finals, and I got them coming out the East for sure.
You know, on LeBron, but more, I guess, on the way he's gone about it. He played 82 games for the first time in his career in his 15th season. So we know he's a special player, but how much of that, in your mind, is also today's training methods for the players as opposed to back in the day, whether you want to go back a decade or even 2 decades, of how players take care of themselves as opposed to then?
Yeah, it's evolved. You know, I mean, there's so much more things that guys do now. You know, hot, cold, you know, warm, cold, ice, stretching, yoga's taking over. You know, the way all these analytics that we put stuff for our bodies to check our heart rate during practices, so we know if we're starting to get fatigued, even though we can feel it after we run 1,000 sprints. But regardless, they have the science on it now as well. LeBron's taking this season very serious. I mean, it could be argued that this is his best season. You know, he's averaging, 28 points, 9 assists, 9 rebounds, played all 82 games, played the most minutes since he was 26, had over 2,000 points. He's in, obviously, phenomenal shape, but you could tell that he's taking this season very serious. The one thing I will tell you about the team, it's going to be interesting to see the rest of those guys. You know, obviously he can lean on Kevin Love, he can lean on Tristan Thompson. You know, they won championships together, J.R. Smith. But the other guys, you know, Clarkson, this will be his first playoffs. You know, the young guy Nance Jr., first playoffs. You know, Rodney Hood's going to have a big role. George Hill will come into play. There's obviously Ty Lue being a coach, but it's going to be interesting to see how the other guys, Kyle Korver making big shots in the playoffs, to see how the other guys respond, especially without a closer, a guy that made some really big shots for these guys over the years, and Kyrie Irving not being there.
I'm curious, Carlos, again on the training method and where athletes are now. You got in the league in, I believe, 2002, so 16 years ago. Is there something when you first got in the league that you did as far as nutrition and or training that just is not done anymore, is completely gone?
Maybe. I mean, when I got in the league, it was a lot of ice. You know, guys would get in the cold tub after practice, get in the hot tub before practice. And I was 20. I'm like, why are you guys doing that? But obviously, after 3 or 4 playoff runs, I understood. My body ached a little bit too. We definitely had a nutritionist that was talking to us about our diet and eating better, and eating healthy. And it wasn't so much on the vegan wave, but it was, trying to eat, organic and eat as many vegetables and fruits and healthy things for you as possible. And to a different perspective, also, the game has changed so much as well. Like, you look at the game it is now, you got guys really looking for that 3-point line. When I got in the NBA, it was a lot more physical. We're playing against, Ben Wallace and Karl Malone and Charles Oakley and, Alonzo Mourning and these guys. And you look at the decade before that, it was even more physical, in the 80s and 90s. So it's gotten a lot less physical as the game has evolved. More guys are shooting threes, and, you can't even hip check somebody. They call that a foul. If you touch somebody going in the lane, that's a foul. So it's very different as far as the physicality of the game. That also plays a part. But as far as nutrition and taking care of yourself, I think guys are really paying a great deal of attention to their bodies, more than maybe ever. I'm not sure what the methods are now. I'm retired now, but I definitely think that's done a great job. I saw the report that came out on LeBron, how one game he played in the playoffs, played like 40 minutes or whatever it had been. He actually gained 7 or 8 pounds, which I'd never heard of before because I've always ended up losing water weight or what have you during the course of the game, especially a playoff game. But there's definitely more things going on. Guys taking supplements, taking vitamins, making sure they got all their things checked off the box. So guys are definitely paying attention to their bodies, doing a lot more stretching, a lot more taking care of themselves. But it's basketball is a cardio sport, man. You're always running up and down. You're always banging. You're always doing a lot of stuff. So you're going to be in good shape. But now they're taking it to another level.
Carlos Boozer, former NBA player, joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. It's Golic and Wingo. Jason Fitz in for Trey. You said earlier postseason's very different. I understand the intensity part of it. What else is different about the postseason that's so hard for players to adjust to?
Yes, it's different in the NBA because you're playing the same team over and over again. So, for example, you may have, like one week you may have, Toronto, then you have Golden State, then you have, the Wizards. No, well, this you're going to play the same team for 10 days, 10, 12 days, right? So, at the end of the day, you're going to know each other very, very well as that series progresses. So, all the quick moves the things that you're going to see in game 1, you may not see in game 3 or 4 because you're going to cut those off. And the thing about the playoffs is you lock in on a certain team to make them have to go towards their weaknesses and see if how weak they really are at it. You're going to try to take away all their strengths. So if a guy likes to drive left and finish, you're going to try to make him go right, and vice versa. If the guy's really a knockdown shooter, you're going to give him no airspace to make him put the ball on the floor to see if he turns the ball over. Try to speed him up, try to make him make mistakes that leads in your team's favor. So that's the difference in the playoffs. You're going to play the same team over and over and over again, so you get more familiar with each other.
Carlos, do you see a by seed an upset in this first round?
Yeah, I mean, the one that really jumped out at me really was that Wizards in Toronto. I know it sounds kind of far-fetched because Toronto had an amazing season, and they've proven to be the number one team. But I still think the Wizards are very good with John Wall. He missed a lot of time this season. I don't know if they upset Toronto, but it's a very interesting matchup to me. On the Western side, I know everybody's chopping down Kevin Durant and all, put him under a microscope because Steph Curry's not there to see what they do with the Spurs. But remember, Golden State has other guys. I think that Spurs team, even though they're led by Greg Popovich and have a storied franchise, and we have so much respect for that organization, they don't have Kawhi this year. So I don't see that being an upset. I see them coming out of that pretty good. I do think that Houston series with Minnesota could be interesting. I know Tibbs he loves defense. That's his calling card. I think Jimmy Butler's going to relish in that matchup with James Harden. I don't see an upset there, but I think it could go a little bit longer than a sweep. It could be 6 games, but the only one I really got circled for me is that Toronto-Washington game. I really like that series for some reason.
So we've been having a debate all over sports media for the last week on who the Rookie of the Year is. You played in the league. You're smarter than all of us. Who's the Rookie of the Year?
I would give it to Ben Simmons. I think Mitchell's done a hell of a job and made a hell of a case, and I love what he's done for that Utah franchise. But Ben Simmons leads almost all rookies in every category except the scoring one, which is very impressive to me. He's walking triple-double. He's played incredible since February. And I'm not taking anything away from Donovan Mitchell, but I'm also say this. This could be the year that we see what happened with Grant Hill and Jason Kidd, where they have a co-rookie of the year. Both guys led the team to the playoffs. But, you didn't know how they were going to do. Joel Embiid missed a lot of time this year. They played in the whole season without Gordon Hayward, who was, they were hoping to have back. So for them to be, in the postseason, what they've done, I think Mitchell ended up leading all rookies ever in most 3-point shots made, which is very impressive to me. And he's a great second-half player, great fourth-quarter player. What Ben Simmons does, he's so dynamic because he makes all those other guys so much better, and he's doing it right away. This could be one of those years where we have a co-rookie of the year, which happened, in '95 with Grant and Jay Kidd.
Yep, we have heard that before, saying we may get co-rookie a year player. So we'll wait and see what happens there. And then the biggest question of the morning, Carlos, is it is National Grilled Cheese Day, but we're giving you a choice. You can only have one sandwich, the grilled cheese sandwich or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What direction you go?
Oh, that's tough. I'm a big fan of both. I'm a big strawberry and peanut butter jam guy. I do like a grilled cheese sandwich with a little slim layer a turkey in there. Never tried that. It's amazing. I think, just for the sake of fun, I'm going with the grilled cheese, man.
Grilled cheese. All right. And it's a good way to go on National Grilled Cheese Day.
I mean, it's grilled. Yeah, exactly. Carlos Boozer, man, we appreciate your time. Thanks for all the insight. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Carlos.
No, thanks for having me, guys.
Great stuff from him.
We had Ryan Hollins on yesterday, former NBA player as well, saying he thinks he thinks Donovan Mitchell should be the MVP. And most everybody else says Ben Simmons, but both have said maybe wouldn't be shocking if they're co-winners.
I have been saying that on Spain and Fitz for a couple of weeks that we need co-MVPs.
Wouldn't that be unsatisfying?
No. You got two deserving candidates. If there's no delineating factor, because I wanted to use a big word. Then thank you.
And I think you used it correctly.
We're just going to go with Twitter. Will tell me quickly. I'm sure.
That's very true.
One of my favorite stats entering last night's game. I haven't factored in last night's, but one of my favorite stats entering last night's game was that, as he mentioned, Donovan set the rookie record, 186 3-pointers made. Ben Simmons. Zero, yeah, for the season. Yeah. He's less than 186.
Ben Simmons wins the freak show, though. At 6'10", and how he handles the ball and doing what he does is ridiculous.
It's remarkable. He does so many other things well. It's not to take away from. I just find it humorous.
Hey, everyone. Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Ryan! I don't know how else to say this, so I'll just say it.
What is it, Linda?
I think we should see other people.
Are you breaking up with me? On a roller coaster?
Well, we do have a lot of fun. Maybe we should stay together.
An emotional roller coaster? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I just need a little me time.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Out front to Simmons. Driving right away from Westbrook. Sidestep George on the run. Floats a runner and air ball. Westbrook has the 16th rebound, and he's done it. Russell Westbrook, the first ever in NBA history to average a triple-double in back-to-back seasons at the crowd erupts.
WWLS 98.1, the sports animal on the call. It's time for Sports Center. Russell Westbrook finished his second straight regular season, averaging a triple-double. He needed 16 boards. He grabbed those 16 less than 3 minutes into the third, finished with 20 boards in the win over the Grizzlies. The Timberwolves had their play-in game last night against the Nuggets. They clinched their first playoff berth since 2004 with a 112-106 overtime win. They draw the Rockets in the first round of the playoffs. Houston won all 4 regular season meetings with Minnesota. The 76ers won their 16th straight game, secured the 3 seed in the East. It wasn't all laughs for Philly sports last night. That's because the Flyers opened the playoffs by losing 7-0 to the 2-time defending Cup champion Penguins. Sidney Crosby logging his 3rd career postseason hat trick. It was ugly.
Sports Center is brought to you by Sport Clips. Do your hair a favor by checking in online and arriving just in time for your Sport Clips MVP haircut experience while you surround yourself with sports and only sports on TV. Great cut, massaging shampoo, and hot steam towel. Claim your spot today. SportClips.com/check-in.
Hey, Golic and Wingo, it's Ash down in Texas. I said I'd call you back after the Winnipeg game. Tell you what, Winnipeg looks real. Exciting time for those crazy Winnipeggers. No ticket to the game, but they're still there cheering, watching it outside in freezing temperatures. That's pretty much a summer day for those folks up there in the Peg.
First win for Winnipeg in the postseason. They'd been 0-8 in the postseason since the franchise began as the Atlanta Thrashers back in 1999. They beat the Minnesota Wild 3-2 last night. The first games in the first round of the NHL playoffs.
Standing outside is really cool. They do that in Nashville. So are block parties with musical acts like Vegas did, like Nashville does.
And what you guys do there?
I'm just saying, really, really cool having an act play a show outside on the pavilion before the playoff game, Vegas, which is what.
How
Nashville
long you been
does.
in the league?
Nashville?
Yeah.
20 years.
Okay. All right.
Ish.
Ish?
No, it's 20 years.
Okay.
I can gloat. It's taken a long time.
No, listen, you can. It was a ball to watch what went on in Nashville last year. It was very, very cool.
I have a puck that they gave out to the first 10,000 people ever to walk into Bridgestone Arena.
Really?
For the first ever Preds game. That I went to these games for years when there was nobody in them. So it is fun to now see hockey be the relevant
That's got to be cool. Now,
I
I got to see hockey. I was living in Phoenix when the Coyotes were there. So me and the family, we would go to those games. And as I said, I think hockey is the best spectator sport to be in the arena for. That there is, and when you get into the playoffs, it's like the time right now is just fantastic for the beards that are grown and the games that are played.
Yeah, I should not grow the beard, but nothing but love for Vegas, where I was born and raised as a little kid. So it's nice.
Yeah,
the first professional franchise in Las Vegas is out there taking all of this. They're taking inspiration from Nashville and making it their own. I like this.
Oh my God.
I like it. That's fine. Speaking of spectacles, there was one last night between the Yankees and the Red Sox, which, by the way, you could have listened to with ESPN Radio and tune in. We've got the MLB season in the palm of your hand. Listen to live MLB games on ESPN Radio on the TuneIn app. Check out how TuneIn Premium gives you every home call of every team all season long. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial of TuneIn Premium. Just go to the App Store on Android or iOS and download TuneIn today to start your free trial. It all started in the bottom of the third. Mm-hmm. At that point, Tyler Austin was on first base. He was getting to second base, and he slid on into Brock Holt, Red Sox shortstop. And he slid cleats up.
Cleats up and a little late into the sliding cleats up.
Aggressive, as they say, air quotes. He was aggressive with it. So then you flash forward.
So there was a little bench clearing there, but everybody kind of jogged out there. There was no pushing and shoving, just some jabbing back and forth. But then it got going.
Then this happened.
That didn't hit him. Austin slammed his bat on the ground, now heads toward the mound, and he's ready to swing. He and Kelly go down on the ground, both benches empty. We have a brawl in Boston, and the brawl is going on. Austin had slid hard into Holt, and so Kelly hit him with a pitch, and Austin charged the mound.
Look, there's payback and there's payback. You don't hit a batter there throwing 98 miles an hour. You just don't do that. That's his life. Never mind his career. That's his life. Are you kidding me?
Easy on that one. Then.
Yankees Radio Network with the very melodramatic call on that. That's his life.
I see if it was at his head. It wasn't at his head. Hit him kind of in the back of the arm, kind of the back area. I know you go for the hip or the butt there in that instance, but where it hit him, I mean, come on, that's a little dramatic.
I mean, 98 miles an hour you're throwing at me in general. There's nowhere that I'm going to say that isn't,
I'm glad you're not hitting me in the head, but I get it, but
that's it. That's his life. Well, Joe Kelly, in this process, of course, was asked about defending himself and gave us this little bit of magic.
I was ready to defend myself. Someone comes on the property and in my backyard, I have two dogs and ready to, come on my property and, I'm getting attacked and I'm going to have to defend myself.
Someone comes into my property. I got my two dogs. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people were, wait, did he have two dogs or was he talking about his fists a la Anchorman?
I think it reminded me of this.
If you want to throw down in fisticuffs, fine. I've got Jack Johnson and Tom O'Leary waiting for you right here.
Now, as a guy with 4 dogs, I do own 4 dogs.
And I have 3 dogs, but 2 are pugs, so they're not.
Right, like you have your watchdogs, like, they would, ankle biters at best. Ankle biters at best.
But I think he meant his fist. John tweeted in, hey, Mike, in New York City, we used to call our fists Bellevue and the morgue. Bellevue, obviously, for the hospital. He said, as in you on Bellevue or the morgue?
Oh, that's remarkable. I just have to hear it again.
If you want to throw down in fisticuffs, fine. I've got Jack Johnson and Tom O'Leary waiting for you right here.
Just awesome. Awesome. So Kelly said he was ready to go. Obviously, Tyler Austin, he slammed the bat down. He charged the mound. Kelly, at that point, kind of played the backing off type of, how he was going to approach this fight. So that got a little more physical, that fight, and then basically Judge and Stanton got involved at 6'8", 280 and 6'6", 250, and that kind of closed out. Do we have the Brock Holt? Do you have it here? Do we have it there? Brock Holt, the shortstop, who is not an overly large person, did talk about the fact of the size of the Yankees, especially those two players, and how much do you really want to get involved in a fight, if those two guys are going to be involved.
I think we do have it here. Yeah, this is Brock.
As soon as you see Judge or Stanton come in there, I think they were one of the first two in the first scuffle, and I'll start backing up at that point. So, no, it's fun. We're playing hard. They're playing hard, and it's just part of it.
You know what I would?
I love the honesty, though, right?
Oh yeah.
You see those two guys. That's why we put it on the poll question. You see Stanton and Judge running at you. What's your first reaction?
My first reaction is to say this:
"You're killing me, Smalls."
I mean, that's it. It's a little Sandlot.
A lot, and I don't know. It may be divided by obviously Red Sox fans and Yankees fans. I don't know what baseball fans think about the slide that did go to the umpires, if the slide was illegal or not, and would they call the double play because he did break up the double play. And by rule, I'm going to read you the slide rule. He said the slide rule prohibits runners from using a roll block, which he did not do, or attempting to initiate contact with the fielder by elevating and kicking his leg, which he did do, but then it goes on to say above the fielder's knee. So if you want to go by definition, he did go cleats up. He slid a little late, cleats up, but he caught Holt in the kind of the ankle calf area, so it wasn't above the knee. So if you want to go by letter of the law, you can say it was kind of a late slide and he went cleats up, but he didn't hit him in an area where it says in the rule book that it was going to turn into an illegal slide. The ump said no illegal slide here. Runner stays on at first, no double play, and then we got to the seventh inning and the throwing the ball at the batter.
Could we re-nickname the Yankees the Bronx Brawlers? I mean,
listen, one thing I would say when you got the size you do out of some of those guys, let's just say you're not backing away from anything. You're certainly, I don't know if you're always looking for a fight, but if one presents itself, I think you really, you're going to go, because they're not the only small guys at all. I mean, Gary Sanchez is 6'2", 230 pounds, to go along with the 282 and the what is, I'm not even sure what, I think 250 or 260 is what Stanton, he's listed at 245, 6'6", 245. So
big, and big.
They do have some other side. Greg Bird was hurt, but when he's back 6'4", 220 pounds.
That's a lot of size.
I mean, they definitely have some size there. So yeah, if a fight breaks out, they shouldn't be shying away from anything.
Now, I know you guys have sort of done this a little bit, but I didn't grow up a baseball fan, right? So one of my objectives is to pour myself into the game. So this year, I'm actually meeting with different baseball guys that work for our network throughout the course of the year. And I'm absorbing all the baseball knowledge I can because I really want to go deep dive.
Right. Okay.
Find this love of baseball. I don't have a favorite baseball team, which is not uncommon. I don't have a favorite college football team either, even though I cover that sport.
You ever hear of Notre Dame?
Yes. I've heard of them.
You go ahead and feel free to jump on that bandwagon.
Well.
All right, never mind. We don't want you. Just from that answer right there, we don't want you.
That's fair.
So you're going to go now. Bubble Boy has latched on to the Chicago White Sox.
Right, I heard that.
To the point of, because he said of the farm system, to the point of not knowing who the players are or what position they play, but he's still backing that team. He's still with that team. So he jumped on the White Sox. So you're going to pick a team?
Well, I'm going to pick a team this year, but I just can't decide.
You don't know who to pick?
Yeah, well, I'm going to take my time. Unlike Bubble Boy here, I'm not going to date for 3 days and then get married. I'm going to spend the season really.
Have you seen Bubble Boy?
Come to Chicago. Listen, we're always taking more fans.
Now, you do realize that Spain and Fitz, my usual show, is co-hosted with Sarah Spain, who's a massive Cubs fan. So I don't think going to the White Sox would be the
They make a good dynamic, though.
Would it? I don't know. As a married man, I'm already used to having to stand my ground. No. I don't know that's a great idea.
So you have any idea who?
No. I'm just going, but I'm just trying to figure out, does the size of the Yankees make it part of the?
Listen, you look for every angle you can. I mean, what you do is you get that list: the pro side, the con side. What are the pros? What are the cons of this team? Do I like what they're going? Do I like some of the players on each of the teams? I mean, maybe the Angels is a team that you want to jump on with the storyline going on there.
Wish Shohei.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, 3 home runs already, 8 RBIs, pitching well. I mean, it's been. What a great storyline that is to see where that goes.
Do you have a favorite baseball team?
Cleveland. I was born and raised in Cleveland.
Oh, I'm sorry. I knew that already.
Seriously, come on.
I just
the
forgot.
Indians, man.
Yeah, Cleveland. Yeah,
best team in all of baseball.
Yeah, kind of like the Cavs. Never mind. Coming up, does anyone want the Knicks job? We'll tell you next on Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Hey, Golic and Wingo. It's Michael in Winnipeg calling to talk to you about the Penguins. Penguins look good. Flyers were definitely not flying, and the Penguins probably could sweep this series. That's all. Have a good day. Bye.
Golic and Wingo presented by Progressive Home Insurance. Getting a quote is easier than ever. We have people calling and leaving their messages about the games last night, the hockey games. You can do that at 860-506-5505. Talking about the Penguins. 7-0 win over the Flyers. The hat trick by Sidney Crosby, including the backhander out of the air. It was unbelievable. I swatted that in.
I heard on First and Last earlier this morning with Golic Jr. that little audio of Sidney saying, you just get in front of the net and good things happen. And that there is a level of playoff hockey. It's about, can you get in the front of the net? Can you disrupt? And then can your goaltenders play well?
Yeah.
And my God, that definitely happened for Pittsburgh in spades last night.
Sure did. Again, they've
really
owned the Flyers all year, beat them all 5 times in the regular season, scored 27 goals. So as the first round gets going there. I said that wrong. We were talking about grilled cheese and then peanut butter and jelly and the mixture. This person said peanut butter and bacon. I don't like peanut butter, and I like bacon and I like peanut butter and I like chocolate, but I don't like the mixture. I like peanut butter and chocolate mixture. Okay. I said it wrong.
Okay.
I don't like chocolate and bacon mixed together.
Like I thought because we've been talking about the Royal Rumble aspect of the brawl all morning. I thought we were going to have like a Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant moment.
Yeah,
here.
no.
I was going to have to pick you up and body slam you. I felt bad about it.
I said that wrong. So.
Well, you may stay for the duration of the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Good picture, by the way, at Golic and Wingo, a bubble boy. He had to sleep in my office last night and then put the product in my hair this morning. He's on my couch. I said he couldn't sleep on the couch, and yet he did. And there's a picture of him sleeping on the couch. At least he was open and honest about it.
Yeah,
so
and alone. At least he was alone, too. That was another key piece of that.
That's a good point.
When I heard he was sleeping in your office,
again,
I thought he was going to throw a party.
Again, it's Bubble Boy. Do we think he was going to be anything but alone?
That's fair.
I know better.
That's So speaking of alone right now, the Knicks are alone. Mm-hmm. The Magic are alone. They both fired their respective head coaches. We continue to monitor what's happening, throughout the day as it's a busy day for Woj. Aren't they all busy at this point? But we're keeping an eye on head coaching jobs open in the NBA, Mike, and I can't help but look at it and wonder if you are Jerry Stackhouse, who led the Toronto G League team to their championship respectively and is a very hot name right now, and you can pick any job in the world, why New York?
Well, I guess here's the thing. So we know New York's open. Frank Vogel got let go from Orlando. That's open. Milwaukee's been living with the interim coach, so that's going to be open. There are reports about Doc Rivers with the Clippers in L.A. That may be open. So now, if you're someone that has choices, you start ranking jobs. Mm-hmm. Would you say Orlando is probably on the bottom of that pile?
Yes.
Again, Frank Vogel, 2 years there He's got 2 years and $11 million still coming to him because they gave him 2 years and then canned him. The short leash is amazing in basketball, or can be. New York, you do have Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, you do have a legitimate big man star who now, though, has that injury that you're dealing with. And so you wonder where that goes. And it is New York. You have Milwaukee with Antetokounmpo. I mean, what a great guy to be building around another young team. They're sitting in the seventh slot here.
Right.
Going against the Celtics in the first round. And then possibly the Clippers. No more Chris Paul, obviously. No more Blake Griffin, obviously. DeAndre Jordan's still there. Of which one would you look at? I guess taking away the geography of it, because, you do have a New York, you have an L.A., you have an Orlando, you have a Milwaukee. You wonder, because then you start, just like in the NFL, you start looking at who's the owner and who's the quarterback. Mm-hmm. You start looking at who the stars are. It's tough to get any better than Antetokounmpo at this point, wouldn't it be?
And that, to me, is why Milwaukee is actually the most appealing job. I do love Milwaukee as a city, I'll admit that. But the expectations in and around Milwaukee are not going to be the same as they are in New York. At the end of the day, New York has a couple of things against it for the Knicks head coaching job. Number one is, as you mentioned, it's New York. So, yes, I understand if you can make it there and wow, you're a golden god. Right. But also, if you can't, then you're vilified and you can't even go out in public without being just chided everywhere you go. You also have an owner there that has a reputation as being, at best, difficult to deal with, right? You don't have any of those things in Milwaukee. The fact is you can be the head coach of the Bucks and go across the street from the Bradley Center and have dinner and nobody's going to stop you. I mean, that's a part of this. So you can sort of live in just your job without any of the extra pressure around you. You can just go out and sort of do your thing. And you're doing it with Antetokounmpo there with you. You have a star and you have stability and you have anonymity while you go out and you set whatever the base is for what you're going to be with less expectations. I mean, that sounds easier.
You say that even if the Clippers opens up over L.A.?
Well, and now the Clippers are forever anonymous, so maybe there's a good point too there.
They're the ones trying to grab the back page away from the Lakers. The Lakers with that young talent end up with 35 wins. The Clippers have 42 wins, but two of their big three are no longer on the team anymore, so they're kind of retooling over there.
But isn't there a difference between anonymity because no one's ever going to care about you versus the Lakers in that sense? No offense, Clippers fans. Right. Versus anonymity of just Milwaukee's one of those cities where you know, the Bucks faithful are the Bucks faithful, but it's not like you can't go to Starbucks and get yourself a cup of coffee.
But how about if you want to say, boy, if I win in Milwaukee or if I win in LA, that's two different places of, boy, where you're successful, or in New York. If you become successful in turning around the Knicks in New York or making the Clippers the team in LA, man, I mean, what goes on your resume then as opposed to if you made the Milwaukee Bucks a successful team?
Yeah, but does it get you paid more? Because one thing you've taught me is that you love the cash, right?
Yeah, everybody likes some cash.
I mean, so I'm looking at it saying, okay, you go out there, you go out there from Milwaukee and you build a team that's consistently a top or second seed, you're going to get paid, right? You go out there and you do the same for the Knicks, you're going to pay. There's not going to be a huge money difference.
No doubt, though, of the teams we're talking about, the best player is Antetokounmpo, right? And I know Porzingis was going in that direction. We had the injury, and doing what he does at 7'3" is incredible, but what Giannis does is a joke.
It's no different than what we said about the Colts in taking that head coaching job. You don't know the status of Andrew Luck. As much as we want to know the status of Porzingis, we don't right now. We certainly know the status of Giannis. You're listening to Golic and Wingo, presented by Progressive Insurance. Coming up on Friday. You like that? Trey's back.
Yes, he is.
So you're back to the big time. Stugat's going to join. Jeff Saturday, Connor Williams will join the show. That's all there on Golic and Wingo. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like a whole new person.
Disclaimer, you will not become a whole new person. This is impossible. You might be able to join a gym or diet program, buy a new wardrobe, get hair implants, but your DNA and physical form will remain the same. Geico waives any and all liability if you attempt to become a new person, except a cyborg. If you choose to become a half-human, half-cybernetic organism with lasers for eyes, the Geico legal team would be cool with that, because, quote, laser eyes are pretty sweet. Pew, 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 end quote.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.